product.
Hello, everybody,
Randy.
and welcome back to the Border Bros podcast, episode 5. I'm your host, MikeyDubs, here with my co-hosts, my brother Steve, and we have Tall. How's it going, gentlemen?
Doing good. It's a lot of really exciting stuff out of Gearbox for what's coming for Borderlands 4.
Steve, how you feeling?
Episode 5. Oh man, I'm super excited. We had the deep dive, we had the packs, all the reactions to everything. I'm excited just to dive into this and let's talk about it.
All right, very fun. Yeah, our plan today is to go through the gameplay deep dive and then the PAX East panel as necessary, going over everything that we see with the context of seeing other people already posting their reactions and all that as a more of a, we kind of consume the content, take time to think about it, and we're not trying to post like, you know, a news video, like immediate headlines. There's already like 5-6 channels that do that. So instead we kind of take a slower approach and try to have, you know, rational takes from players that, you know, we play Borderlands a lot. We're not going to be out there, you know, with calculators a lot of the time. But, you know, we're pretty avid players this series. Would you guys agree?
I would say so. I mean, I don't know if I got into the like really, really hardcore aspects of Borderlands with like incredibly min-maxing characters or anything like that, but like I've always enjoyed all of them in every aspect. I mean, I've played almost everything you can play out of Gearbox when it comes to be Borderlands related. So I think all of our takes are very relevant on all this stuff.
I mean, shoot, I play probably once a night when when Borderlands 3, Borderlands 2, One Lands came out. I think with today's day and age with the internet and the media, I'm more tapped into this project than ever before. So I kind of have to, taper my expectations, but it's so hard because they're just throwing so much content, so easy to react to things. It, but on the flip side, it gets us excited. It gives something to talk about, something to get excited about. So I'm just ready to kind of just play the game. But as of right now, they're just teasing us guys with more and more information. And boy, we have a lot to talk about.
All right, let's jump right in. And here we have Randy about to give us a heyo.
Heyo, I'm Randy Pitchford, founder of Gearbox Entertainment. Today, we're giving you our deepest look yet at Borderlands 4. All the excitement, loot, and gnarly carnage all running on PlayStation 5 Pro.
The interesting note is that they're going with PlayStation 5 Pro. Just real quick, that means that we're probably not going to see an Epic Games exclusivity deal on PC like we saw in Borderlands 3. We might still, but I think they might be going away from that this time.
Now, Tal, what if he said it was exclusively on the Switch too?
That would be bad.
16 years ago, we've continued to refine the formula, delivering better
Mikey,
loot,
I want you to
greater
pause it
freedom,
around.
and
Go
endless
back to like second 28, and this is something that like I'm gonna harp on a lot as we go through this. Is look at the scale of this. Now, Randy said you can go everywhere in this game. That means that you're going to be getting into encounters underneath these pipes over here. Wherever that big head is, that thing, we're going to be fighting that thing or fighting over there. This is like incorporating like parts of the dust into like Bloodshot Ramparts. And what I think that Gearbox is doing here, and I'm going to keep harping as we go through this, is recreating a lot of the fun like parts of maps that we've enjoyed in all of the previous Borderlands games and putting them all together. And like Steve was saying, I'm trying not to get too hyped for this, but like the amount of fan service they seem to be doing, they seem to like actually have listened, which is scary that they're saying that they did. And we'll get into that more when we talk about the stuff from PAX, but we can just keep going from here. Also, if you go to second 29, which
better
is
loot, greater.
no, right there. Do you see that the Digi runner is towing something? And what if there is a tethering mechanic where while you are playing with a party member, you can tether to their Digirunner and they pull you, and then it works very similarly to like riding in the back of a technical would.
Is that tethering or is that just the graphic for the speed?
I don't know if it is.
Like, go back
I
like
would
5 seconds. Double click 5 seconds.
Because if you watch it, it looks like it's being it's being
Nearly
pulled.
16 years ago, we've continued to refine the formula, delivering
I don't-
better loot, greater
Let me see this. I mean, shoot, it's be consistent, but we'll see.
Again, I like to try to see the small things and pull things out from there, because Borderlands does like to give us, and Gearbox loves to give us, these little nuggets here and there.
Yeah, to me, this looks like Harlow's Pod Racer. Like, they all have their own vehicles. I think that's Harlow driving around. I don't think there's like a tether mechanic. What I could think of is maybe if like an autopilot feature, but I don't think they added that into the game. I really just do think that this is one of the vehicles, and that's just how Harlow's the back end of her vehicle touches her engines, which are the front end. But could be anything.
Yeah, that's possible.
and endless mayhem.
Okay, we're gonna continue on.
And with Borderlands 4, we push things even further.
This is hands down our best Borderlands ever.
Okay, I real quick want to point out, he just said that this is hands down our best Borderlands ever.
I feel like I say that every time.
He doesn't look. It doesn't look like it's the best Borderlands ever. Like, with the way he's saying it. I just wanna.
I mean, the both of them look like they're reading off cue cards.
Yeah. I love them. They're doing a great job.
Team has written these cards, and they told him don't go off script.
Randy's holding like a like Borderlands prop gun behind them and pointing it at them jokingly.
It looks like he's doing it to himself when he goes, "Hey yo!" Like, he's trying to set the bar, and they're trying to match it, but they just, they're really good at making games.
All new movement, abilities, bigger and
Let me know
badder
if you want me to
enemies,
pause and
and
go
a
back
brand
in
new
it for anything.
planet, all in service of making you feel like a total badass.
It's the perfect entry point for new players with incredible new places and
Really,
a great
new players,
story.
entry point.
And for our longtime Borderlands fans, we're throwing back to our more grounded tone while pushing gameplay ahead further than ever before.
I love how he says most grounded tone, and like immediately we're flying through the air. I took the word grounded literally,
Gameplay
and we're like we're flying through the air as we're going back to our grounded
gameplay ahead further
Because
than ever.
right after here, so it's probably 54 seconds in. We'll go to 53.
To our more grounded
More grounded tone.
pushing gameplay
And then
ahead.
he's flying through the air. That's so funny.
It's an AC 130 above, flying through the air, more grounded.
Yeah, boots on the ground. It's funny how they're saying more grounded tone, but if you were back in Call of Duty playing it back in the day, when they did like Advanced Warfare and eventually like Black Ops 3 with all the exosuit systems and all that, and everyone was just clamoring for boots on the ground, and here's Borderlands in 2025 saying, oh, we're going for more grounded tone. Meanwhile, they're adding grappling hooks and gliding.
Now, Tall, let's see about this for a second. You've only played Borderlands 1, and then you just go on vacation for multiple years, and you come back, and they say, you see the trail for the first time, and you're like, and the devs are saying, we're gonna go back to Borderlands, more grounded, Borderlands 2 tone, and you see this, you'd be thinking, what are they talking about?
Well, I think in the writing they're going for a more grounded tone, because they say in this same thing that it has more verticality than any other Borderlands game to date.
Boy, if it's just the writing, they did not specify.
Well, it's Randy, he told them what he's going to say and then said what he wanted to say.
I remember PAX West, Winkler, he said the same thing. This is the most grounded Borderlands.
Well, I think because Borderlands 3's writing was a little juvenile for a lot of people, and kind of took this step a little bit too far with the humor that was introduced in Borderlands 2. And if they're going to more of a Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2 kind of funny because it's funny in context for us, the players, and less trying to be funny in universe, like, it'll be a little bit better. I think they leaned a little bit too much into the like Marvel humor and the poop jokes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it made me afraid because that was the feedback they got, was like, oh, the humor, yeah, we'll dial back on the poop jokes. And it's like, for me, the poop jokes are kind of funny. It's really everything else.
Some of them hit really hard. There's a couple of the voice lines from the like heavies, the Maliwan heavies, that are really funny. Like I died the way I lived, pissing and shitting.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Like that gets me almost every time. And the thing is that I think that would be even funnier if there was less of it and it was in the right places.
I'm hoping that maybe with Randy saying grounded tone, that kind of just means like a lot less dialogue. Like that's the big hope.
Maybe because I mean they get into this a little later, and we'll talk about this more. But it seems like there's going to be every aspect of the game is going to be more replayable because of quest rewards and things like that. Like you could find a mission that gives you a good amount of XP and just decide to grind it over and over and over again. You know, at level 10, at level 15. And you can consistently be going back to that. So the gameplay cycle and the gameplay loop works really well with itself at every level. They might have the thing is what's going to make or break it at the end of the day, and we all know this because we play a lot of Borderlands, is scaling at endgame.
Yeah, I was just playing a lot of Borderlands 3 today, actually, in Mayhem 11, doing some of the trials. And I thought that the scaling felt okay as far as, like, I think enemy health, they do a pretty good job most of the time at scaling enemy health in any game. So I'm not too worried about, like, the balance of it all. I've got a pretty good feeling they're going to knock it out of the park when it comes to enemy scaling. But you know what? A lot of people have problems with like, Chaos 100, and I get it, but, like,
Okay, well, they that's a whole nother story.
yeah.
The whole chaos.
That gun looks awesome. That gun looks so cool.
It has the exposed
Bolt system.
Bolt system. A few of these guns have it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I saw a Reddit post that meant that, or they put all these weapons with these exposed bolts in the Daedalus or the new manufacturer.
Is that what it is? Daedalus? Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe. I don't know.
All right, let's continue.
Borderlands fans, we're throwing back to our more grounded tone while pushing gameplay ahead further than ever before. This is the culmination of years of hard work from my teammates across the Gearbox studios. So enough talk, let's get it. This is Borderlands.
Okay, now this is what I'm excited to see. Remember watching this live? I was freaking out.
Oh man.
Right here, yep. Coming up.
Look at the scale of it. I really hope we can go in the head of that thing.
Randy said we could.
Randy said we could go everywhere.
I'm gonna take a quick pause in each of these different locations.
Borderlands is an
They
unforgiving sci-fi
feel
universe where life is cheap
unique. All of them.
This person looks like an
And
actual
also,
character.
and guns are plentiful.
I want you to remember that guy.
Okay, go back. We'll take a quick mental note of this lad right here.
Borderlands is an unforgiving sci-fi universe where life is
Okay, and I have a feeling that this guy's going to be a quest giver akin to Lorelei, and I have a little information at about 2:20 that corroborates that. But keep going.
cheap.
All right,
I
let's move
hope
it.
that dude. I
And
hope that
guns
dude
are-
is cool because I have a coworker that looks like him, and he's not a cool dude. So I hope he's a cool dude. I couldn't unsee it when I saw that guy.
You play as
For
a
real.
vault hunter.
Okay,
Oh,
now
hey!
we got to pause right
This should
here.
have been the introduction for the
Let's
Vault
go.
Hunters.
Right, this is exactly what we harped on it for so long.
Yes.
Steve, go ahead. What do you think?
I'm playing Armon, 100%. That's my guy. He looks cool. He kind of looks like he looks dead, like in a weird way, in a good way. He's kind of
I see
like
what you
pale looking, kind
mean
of
by
like
that,
I don't. He looks like a zombie, but like a Viking zombie.
Hmm.
He's very pale looking. I like the before we had no like facial expressions or any kind of animations from the characters at all. They were like walking through the park of this town, go get coffee. I'm getting some personality out of everyone here. Everyone's got a little stance, a little facial expression. I'm liking what I'm seeing here out of all the characters. Not just on Vex anymore, even though Vex is front and center. Once again, but they want that. I'm
Well, they've
loving
been showing off the most of her.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's color. There's a little change of palette too with each character, and they put a mask on Rafa.
I think they should have led with this. I think they should have led with this. I think Rafa as a character is okay if he has a face, but they could have given him a little mystery with keeping a mask on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would have created more intrigue, especially because if they like hid his hands a lot, it would like people be like, "Oh my god, is it another Zero? Like, is it something that's related to Zero somehow?" Which would be something that a lot of people would like, and would be an interesting hype that you could create around him. But I think he looks so much cooler like this than he does like with his face out because he looks pretty generic. Because they use a very bland Borderlands color palette on him in the other
Yeah.
one.
Right.
And I think people heard that. I think that's why they use these alternate skins.
Yeah, these
And
are
for
great
all we know,
redesigns.
for all we know that like these might be some of the available like color palettes that you can apply to these characters like from the rip. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like we don't necessarily know that yet, but because they showed it off, like these heads might be all available at launch like with the character. So like at the new U station, you'll have them already ready to go there. I'm just this they keep doing and saying the right thing, and that's both exciting and scary at the same time. Because the community as a whole has been pretty like unanimous about certain things that they want, and definitely like the look of the Vault Hunters on the first glance not largely received a negative reception.
Mhm.
So I feel like introducing them like this and giving people a little bit of a different taste is gonna like enables the community to be like, okay, that's not what they really look like. They can look like this, they can look like this. And I really think they should have led with this.
Now, Mike, what do you think about Harlo? I know you were kind of leaning towards that character. What do you think about the graphic design?
I think they looks like they definitely revamped her design from the initial trailer. I think is a great thing. She looks great. She looks great. I'm still lost for which Vault Hunter I want to play. You know, that now that we've seen more of each of them, I'm liking more things about each of the different Vault Hunters. Like even Vex, who I thought I would never play. When with the PAX panel, they mentioned her being kind of a kinetic specialist, and that's
Yeah.
that's
did
pretty
mention
interesting to me.
Yep.
But I'm also looking at Rafa because of his Exo Soldier, the way he can pull out like the guns and kind of have like a diva from Overwatch kind of thing going on. And I love the idea of Eamon having, you know, spears and whips, and it's like you choose how you want the Vault Beast to die. You know, it's like, do you jab him with a giant spear? Do you slam him with a giant hammer? You know, I kind of like that too. But still, I think that Harlo is winning it for me. I like the bubbles. I like the nuke, and we still haven't seen the other gadgets from her. But there's a part of me that's with the Rafa, him being the most agile character we've ever seen. Steve, you asked me this a while ago, what kind of character I was going to be looking for. Since I never played Zane, I was like, I kind of want to go the fast guy. And the more I'm seeing about him, I kind of really like Rafa. I don't know.
It's funny you say, and I went Zane with Borderlands 3, and now I want to slow it down and get tankier. And maybe that's Armand. Maybe that's the character. We'll see.
What do you think, Todd? Do you got anyone you're leaning towards so far?
So I'm also kind of leaning towards Rafa just because I really enjoyed playing as Zane and I liked the speed of that character. But at the same time, I also think Harlo and Amon seem really interesting to me because we haven't even seen any gameplay of what Amon's action skills really look like. And I'm starting to believe that like they're kind of saving all of his stuff because there's a lot of it. And there's going to be, I feel like there might be with him because he has so many of these extra weapons, the variety in the way you were playing it. I mean, they say it in the PAX panel that you could all be playing the same character in the same skill tree and have
Oh,
three
tree.
different characters.
They referred to it as there's a trunk and then there's branches, which is the bottom 3 branches.
Yeah.
And you can pick all the same action skill, but they all can be very different playing styles, and that's very, very encouraging.
Yeah, so I think the build crafters for this game are going to go wild because there's going to be builds to play almost however you want. And they took a lot of great notes from ARPGs, so I'm assuming that some of those mechanics are going to go in. I never really play Path of Exile or Diablo since like Diablo 2, but I mean the looter shooter genre is largely takes its RPG mechanics from ARPGs, and they're really leaning into this even more. And it's just the right. Again, it scares me because in my opinion, it's the right decisions. And I feel like they're saying all the right things. They're
Yeah.
showing us this pretty product. And my biggest fear now is that it's not going to deliver, or there's going to be crashing, or the UI is going to be buggy, or like those are now my biggest concerns. Because now everything that I'm seeing out of the game, this is exactly what I want out of a Borderlands game. This is exactly what I want in terms of advancing certain systems. I think they did Hyperion dirty. We'll talk about that later. But that's like one of my big things now is now I'm scared because of how good it looks.
It does
That
look
makes
very
sense?
good, yeah. I'll talk about some of my fears going in a little bit, because we did see a little bit of framiness on the PS5, even in the trailers, like dynamic weather systems.
Yeah, that could. We already had an issue with like visibility and stuff like that in
Yeah.
Borderlands 3, and like now we're gonna give dynamic weather that's gonna make it harder to see. Like, if it's not like if it can't be toned down on some kind of slider when it comes to visibility, I feel like a lot of people are going to either fast travel out to try to skip that and go back when the weather is more favorable. Because I feel like that's the kind of thing that could get annoying, really.
Definitely. I mean, I don't want to harp on it too much, but yeah, I like the Vault Hunters. They look great, and what I'm really liking is that I don't know yet. They all look really cool. They all have stuff about them that I really like. So I'm still open to the possibilities of day one not really knowing, and not really knowing until I click it. That's kind of how it goes for all my playthroughs.
I know I'm not going to play the Siren because I got a buddy, and every time we play a Borderlands game, he always picks the Siren, and I don't want to pick the same character as him. But I totally agree with you, Mikey. Like it's the first time since they've in an introduction of a Borderlands game where I didn't know immediately who I want to play.
Yeah. All right, got anything more on the design of this nice?
I don't have anything till around 2 minutes where we see kind of Rafa's melee skills.
You good here?
Yep,
Yeah.
let's go.
A badass mercenary with power.
Okay, there's another quick look. You can see a little bit more of Harlo's face here. She looks a little bit older than we might have expected. She
could be the older sister of the Trant family.
Right. And then, of course, the Vex looking exactly like Tyreen from Borderlands 3.
Powerful abilities called action skills.
So much better.
Today I'm
Oh,
playing
Rafa's
as
again
Vex, our new
stretched
siren.
out. He's ready to run around.
Look at that. I mean, that is...
Amon had like a Kratos thing going on. It looks badass. It looks badass. It's like I said, everything is exciting and it's scaring me.
What do you think about those bat wings?
I think I'm not sure if it's just an effect or if you're able to elevate yourself even a little bit to get a little more verticality, would be pretty cool. I think it's a great design. I think it's really cool. It kind of gives her a dark look. She's got that dark vibe to her, gothic look. It's just such a vibe.
I guarantee you there's a skill that allows you in the skill tree for whatever triggers those wings, where you can like glide infinitely while you're in your action skill.
That'd be kind of cool.
Fire and shoot. Love it. Fire and shoot at the same time.
You mean fire and sprint?
Fire, sprint, and shoot. All the above.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
She's
Yeah.
sprinting. She has got a one-on-one spell cast on her left hand, and she's got a gun in her right, and they're all out at the same time. I
will say, I have called her action skill just dark magic. This is a little bit. It's not a lot more, but it's a little bit different. Look at the way she kind of like hovers this orb in her hand. It's a little bit different than a Wonderland spell, I think. A little more.
While we're watching them, Michael, you'll see it hits a target and she can pick it up again, and maybe I think it even duplicates. Sometimes you pick up maybe 2 charges. If it hits a target, it crits another charge. You pick up both charges. You'll see it once they're playing the game. It's more of a kind of a manageable action skill, which I think is kind of cool.
I think it's very cool. All right, let's move on.
Energy to devastating effect. She can use that energy to empower herself.
Goodbye.
Or channel it to conjure deadly minions that fight alongside her.
Boy, wish that Scythe.
And because
What's so
everything's better
stagnant?
in co-op,
Right. What do you think about what do you think about the Scythe character?
So the way they talked about it, and because they introduced it more, is that Scythe character is one of half of the part of this action skill tree for Vex, and then you have the
Called
Scythe
Deadringer.
character, which is more of a draw aggro and draw attention away from you type of summon. And then there's the other ones that essentially operate very similarly to the Digiclones for Timothy in the pre-sequel.
And you could pick between the two, because on the HUD you have the Scythe or the Deadringer. You pick whatever, the bumper or bumper. I saw that.
And then
Boy,
apparently you can have
guys.
multiple, and they link with your elements. And I mean, it's just again, and this is just Vex that we've seen this from, and I'm sure there's a lot more nuance to how you can play that type of character, where you can go out and you can run and gun and have essentially the Scythe, the Reaper, whatever you want to call it, draw aggro for you, so you can run around just critting everything with a shotgun. I mean, there's so many types of play styles that are gonna come out of it, and there's really gonna be something for every type of like FPS, like major FPS style games that have like the ARPG elements, like Destiny and stuff like that. Like you're gonna be able to play, aim on like a Titan. I think that you're gonna be able to play like a lot of these characters similarly to how you can play characters in other games, and I think that's going to lend itself to a lot of other people that haven't played Borderlands in the past to come to Borderlands. Also, there's some Ordinate right there. Look at that.
Like I like the take on the clone system that they're doing this time. You got your front line, which in this you can see here. You see this snow bullet. This person is targeting the Wraith, and so is this melee unit. They're both going after the Wraith. It does have a taunt of some sort of aggro drawing, which is great. But I like the idea of, do I want backline or do I want frontline in this moment?
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it.
Fight alongside her.
and because everything's better in co-op, I'm joining as Rafa, a former TDR soldier who wears an experimental exosuit.
We've seen the plasma gun a bunch.
An arsenal of weapons.
But now this was new when this video dropped. Look at this. Look, it's I like it because it's 2 parts. It's a dash and the spin.
Like the razor sharp arc knives.
And they give you third person.
And that's what the Berserker was missing in Wonderlands. The Berserker had the spin to win, but it didn't have a way in like this.
What was the gap? I like it.
I love the gap closer.
I would love to play like that. My concern is bossing, especially, when later in this trailer we see that kind of big hands boss. Like, where am I hitting that? And this is not necessarily an original take, but I am concerned about that. Like, am I gonna have to respec going up against certain bosses to not play that way? You know what I mean?
Right. I had to do that with my Wonderlands character a ton.
And so I have some concern about it. But look, dude, look at these guns. Like, not so much whatever this shotgun look at this. What does Rafa have here? What is going on here? Is this a dataless weapon? Like, that's wild. Looks like it has underbarrel rockets.
There are rockets under barrels on that thing.
Underbarrel rockets? Hello.
Borderlands 4 takes place on Kairos, an all-new planet steeped in conflict.
There's your boy.
So, Bear, there's our boy, right?
Get him.
So,
All-new planet steeped in
There he is.
There he is. And he's got a gun on his back. He's got things going on. Unless that's his like ordinance.
No one has got a gun. That thing is a sniper, a rifle.
Yeah, that thing's massive.
For thousands of years, the Timekeeper
Again,
kept
look
the
at the
planet
scale
hidden,
of this.
Yeah.
controlling its inhabitants with bolts, cybernetic implants fused to their spines. Anyone
So
who
here,
stepped
this
out
is a scene that I want us to kind of go over a few times. Who is this lady? Right? And like, so here's just a random theory that popped into my head while I was kind of compiling some notes for this, is what if this is Emily Swan and she's a good friend of Vex's, and then she gets taken by the Order and killed and gives her powers to Vex?
Interesting.
And what if each of the Vault Hunters, instead of having the classic, like, do you want to hear a story, and they're all showing up on some bus together, what if each one of the Vault Hunters for this one now has their own individual reason for being on Kairos? And this is something that I've wanted for a while now, and we've talked about this in the previous podcasts, is like, I want them all to feel individual, not just in terms of the play style, but in terms of the voice lines, because a lot of them kind of say the same thing in a lot of ways. Zane, in my opinion, was hilarious, and his voice lines were hilarious, but having them also in the cutscenes and the Vault Hunters being a lot more front and center now, I would love to see original origin stories for them included in the games, and it would be even cool if maybe each of them had a different like intro with Claptrap where you meet him somewhere else and he shows you like the way into a certain area or something like that. Just to give it each one of them a little bit more individuality.
Yeah, I really like
Also,
that.
if
I
you-
don't know how it would work because if you're already playing as Vex, but I do like the idea of each character having their own reason to be on Kairos. So it brings me back to the pre-sequel.
Yeah.
Even though they all kind of had the same reason, but I really like the idea of like Handsome Jack was giving us a reason. Handsome Jack, I think, was just like putting out advertisements to help him. And it's like that for me was like enough. I was like, wow, like we actually have a reason. This story is so immersive. But if it's something like what you're saying, like that would be like top notch.
And if you play it and pause it when they get to Vex. Now just play this scene out.
anyone
There's Vex right there.
No. Keep going. No tattoos.
Oh shoot! Yeah, look at it.
No tattoos.
And they drag her away.
And they
Soldiers
drag her
known
away. And then look, this right here, this could be a firing squad.
as the
Let's
Order.
just if we agree that it is, right? Okay, boom. So there they go. They kill Emily Swan. Then that's how Vex gets her powers. I'm just saying, not necessarily.
Kind of crazy.
Because we know Emily Swan is also connected to Elpis. So what if Emily Swan was still on Elpis, and then Elpis all of a sudden crashes into the protective layer around Kairos?
I think it definitely makes sense. What if that's how Vex does get her powers? That'd be really cool.
Yeah. And it would close a loop for a lot of Borderlands fans in terms of like questions that haven't been answered yet, is like what happened to Emily Swan, and if she was this like person that was involved with Vex and her and Vex, and because they say Vex gets her powers later in life and had a weird upbringing and all these things. And I think it would be really cool if Emily Swan maybe had like a little bit of a Maya and Ava relationship, even though they look like they're probably a little closer in age. If we're gonna, let's just say, for argument's sake, say this lady on the ground is Emily Swan. Like, I just think it would be cool. I think it would be cool. I think a lot of people would like it. And then a lot of her voice lines could be talking about Emily Swan and what she was like as a person and so on and so forth. Because it lines up, if you if we look here, I have this pulled up on my screen. You don't have to. I won't share it, but if you look at the descriptions for the Vault Hunters, okay, Vex had a rough upbringing and was made more complicated by receiving her powers. Like, so she got them maybe later in life, and now maybe all of a sudden it's gotten more complicated because her being now on on Kairos, like she is she's now being hunted maybe by the Timekeeper. Maybe Emily Swan was the second things broke through. I mean, there's a lot of questions that can be asked. I just saw this little scene, and I didn't really see anybody kind of deep diving into that and what could be happening there, because Vex is there and Vex does not have her siren tattoo. And I know they only really glow when she's using her siren powers, but they're still on them. You know what I mean? And it's just interesting to me. And a lot of people talk about like the canisters around her wrist, possibly being similar to like what Troy had, but like we know that her power isn't leech.
I'm confused. Why would her power not be leech? Isn't she entirely a lifesteal character who gets her powers right after the?
You can play that way. I mean, I would hope they wouldn't just give her leech, because then that's saying that like theoretically Tyrene could have been like this.
Well, she's Troy and Tyrene together, I think.
Maybe.
I think that is big maybe. I don't know.
Or there's a big maybe around which siren she gets her powers from. Because we don't know what Emily Swan's powers were. And these demon wings would kind of make sense for me of like it coming out of death, because she was near death's door when she got her powers, and she had these wings, and maybe on Emily Swan it was more of an angel kind of thing where she had like nice feathery wings, and now because Vex is a little bit more of a darker personality, she has these types of wings.
Right.
There's a lot of things that I'm drawing conjecture on, but like it's there's a lot of questions that I have now just watching that little bit, and a lot of inferences that I'm personally making in terms of things that I'd like to see.
I think it's a really cool. I think you might have nailed something. I think you might have cracked the code. I want to bring up something that I think Borderlands is shamelessly taking the character from another game. This is Vex from League of Legends. She is a dark mage who kind of like a sad attitude, but it's like, okay, I guess I'll go into combat now. And she has like shadow magic. I mean, they named her the same thing. She has a very similar magic style. Doesn't seem that original.
I never played League of Legends, so.
I just wanted to. I'm sure someone else, when they announced Vex, someone else was like, "Really?" Like, but yeah, that's it. It essentially is the same character. Anyways, we'll move on. All right.
That is until 6 years ago when Elvis showed up. This rogue moon was teleported away from Pandora at the end of Borderlands 3 by the legendary Vault.
All right, pause it here. This corroborates what we speculated in the last pod about like Elpis now being changed to Kairos. Because this is a little bit of a different angle from that same scene, that same kind of freeze frame where we were talking about it, and like these are definitely cables.
Yeah. Are they coming? I think we asked this question last time, and we figured that the chains were coming from the planet to the moon. Do we still think that the planet it's going from the planet to the moon?
Yes, I do.
I think so too.
I think if you look at the one on the left side where it kind of meets the mountain, that to me looks like the part of the cable that goes into like a harpoon head maybe. And it's now stuck. Also, like in universe for Borderlands, for one planet to shoot giant harpoons and cable the other moon to it is just to me so on brand for the Borderlands universe.
Right.
Lilith.
Yeah, I think this is a nice other angle from the same cables we saw from the last trailer that we were talking about.
When it reappeared across the...
Again, look at the scale of it.
galaxy, it crashed into the protective veil around Kairos.
Game just looks
The
gorgeous.
results were devastating.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm
planet-wide
seeing better.
cataclysmic
Oh, look
event.
at this. Pause it here. If you go back, what?
Planet-wide.
This purple spire. This looks like. Is this Aridium emerging on Elpis now? On Kairos?
Hmm.
With now Elpis in the atmosphere, is Elpis now triggering Aridium to come out of Kairos?
Steve, what do you think about that? I thought there was no Iridium, but now look at this.
Yeah.
But maybe they don't have Aridium because they haven't refined it yet. Because it's just come through in the last couple of years. Maybe the Timekeeper's trying to destroy the Aridium.
Maybe.
And all the Sirens are going to get together and use the Aridium to power themselves up and beat the Timekeeper. That's why we need Lilith.
Steve, you got anything for
Anyway,
that?
just a thought.
What do you think? What do you think about this Iridium, Steve?
I just totally thought they were totally over Iridium and going toward Ordinite. Seeing this shot right here.
I have a theory about Ordinite that I'll share later.
All right, yeah, I'm just going back to like the whole cabling thing too. With also, or yeah, I don't know about this whole Iridium thing. I thought they were done with that. Cabling thing. Remember the theme of the game, guys, is to break free, right? Maybe, or just because you saw the thumbnail of the game was the psycho looking dude or Ripper chained up. He's got cabling on him, and this is all for trying to break free of the oppression of the Timekeeper, who's trying to keep order, keep things in the line.
I think that has to do with like the name of the Rippers and the whole idea that they talked about where they had these like mechanical bolts in the back of their necks, and
Yeah, they're about
they
to get
were
to that, I think.
controlling everyone's mind. And so break free is like break free from that, right? They're now it's called now our party is called what, the Crimson Resistance.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, they mention it in the
Yeah, I think I heard that.
at PAX. And so like I just think that like maybe the Iridium's there. The breaking sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. The breaking free is like breaking free from the oppression of the Timekeeper on Kairos, because according to what they said at PAX, he's been ruling over Kairos for thousands of years, which is wild to me. And then also that begs the question, in my opinion, of how long has Kairos had this protective shell over it?
Thousands of years.
Yeah.
Break
Has it
free.
been the whole time? Has it been the whole time? Or
I don't
has
think we're
it
ever going to
been,
get an
like,
answer to
only the
that kind of
last
question.
500 years?
Well, maybe some answers, but I don't think it's going to play a major role. Like, whether it be 500 years, 700 years, I don't understand.
Yeah, the original mission statement of the game before like a lot of this kind of came out was like, hey, we're trying to spark a resistance, and then the Rippers, as you play the trailer, they're just about to say, I believe, they have these kinetic like kind of like bolt things in their back of their spines, and they'll rip out. And I think that's the reference to like all the Rippers who rip out their little like control spines. Now they're the Rippers.
Yep.
I think that's kind of what they're going for the break free aspect, and many in different variations. Break free of the planet, break free of the
I agree.
Well, it's also it's also very synonymous with resistance and things like that. So like break free could also be the slogan that they use to kind of represent the Crimson Resistance or other different factions on Kairos that are trying to kind of break free from the Order.
Lilith. When it reappeared across the galaxy, it crashed into the protective veil around Kairos. The results were devastating.
This
A
reminds me of
planet-wide
Borderlands 1.
cataclysmic
That
event that
shot right
disrupted
there.
the Timekeeper's perfect order.
Now people all across Kairos have started rising up.
So like, who is this?
Some even ripping out
Who
their
are
bolts.
these people now? Pause it here. Who are those people fighting the Order? Because these don't look like Vault Hunters.
No, they said people all over Kairos are starting to rise up, so they could be anybody. Probably be friends that we meet along the way. I mean, they have too
The
much
real
costume
Borderlands
design to
was
be
the friends
Randy's.
we met along the way.
Yeah, I think that's about all. I mean, because you can't really pull too much from this. Besides, one of them looks like, you know, a Star Wars character. You know, but it definitely seems like we're going to be meeting a lot of different, you know, people with cool guns and stuff like that. It reminds me. It's giving me like Gettle and Mobley vibes.
Yeah, definitely.
And chunks of their brain along with it. Here it comes! That's the situation
I like this shot right here.
our Vault Hunters have crash landed into. A planet.
You got that like
ready to
hologram
explode, and you're the
lotus
spark.
flower.
As you explore, you'll meet a cast of incredible characters.
So is this, pause it, go back. What is it, 236? 226, sorry.
You'll meet a cast.
Is this the new Sanctuary, you think?
This room.
This room?
Potentially, I'm going to reference. They said you can always respec around hubs around Kairos, like multiple places.
So maybe there's no one place where you
Yeah.
like have a room and have like a quote unquote home base.
Multiple safe villages.
I don't know if that's a good. I haven't thought about a Borderlands game without a sanctuary. Did Borderlands 1 have a main base and hub?
I mean, you had Firestone, and then you had Old Haven in Borderlands 1. And like Borderlands 2, I mean, like Sanctuary became like almost like a character unto itself.
Right.
You know, in Far Cry, like a lot of Ubisoft games, like Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, whatever. They're within the story. You have to like liberate villages and towns that were like have a strong enemy population. You clear them out. Once you clear them out, a village populates. Then the shop is available. A storage area is available. Like a cosmetic area is available, and you keep doing that around. So now there's multiple safe areas amongst the map, so you can
Kind of like
fast travel to them, so you're not so far away from like multiple mission statements.
Mm-hmm.
kind of like having like an apartment in something like GTA or Cyberpunk 2077 or something like that.
I mean, if we truly are being a resistance, we need to liberate the oppression amongst Kairos. Maybe need to liberate multiple areas where there's order presence.
Yeah, I would imagine each one of the 5 major maps in the game that are supposed to be these large seamless areas have at least one or two hubs that you can be at. But I would be surprised. I always enjoyed the idea of going back to a sanctuary like area, and not having that kind of home base. I don't know. To me, would be a little weird, but especially with a fast travel system like in Borderlands, like going back to that home base to me is something that I feel like I need. I might not after playing the game, but it's a very familiar aspect of it for me. That's why I immediately thought like maybe this is Sanctuary. But this looks like you're walking in with, they have his name on the website. His name is Defiant Calder. And so maybe you're meeting with some other leaders there, and he's introducing you, and now you're walking in as Vex. But if you were playing a different character, you'd be seeing a different character there. That's my hope, is that you're playing as Vex here, and if you were to be playing as Amon, you'd see Amon walk down that corridor.
Yeah.
Or you'd see Amon walk down here, and you'd see Amon's arm over there. And so I have something for right here. Now, this to me makes a lot of sense if Zane and Moxie are now a couple. It just to me makes perfect sense for both of their characters. And also this seems like a bar or something that's in the area where the Order is, because of the kind of propaganda on the TVs and like just kind of the stylized things on the TVs, but also it says Carcadia. or Carcadum if you look on the TV screen. I just noticed that. So I don't know. But to me, this seems like Moxie getting her hands dirty for the first time that we've seen.
Could be interesting. She usually helps out in subtle ways.
Yeah, or organizes like large things, but isn't like an active player. You know, it would also be super cool to have Zane as an NPC fighting alongside of you and seeing his kind of him use his action skills in a more cinematic way around you.
Right. We'll see if they do anything like that. They might.
You'll also meet new friends like Rush.
This is your
I
guy.
also don't know why, but I don't trust that guy.
And as
Yeah,
always,
you don't
I have
like
a feeling-
you think he's gonna be the guy who gives you the ultimate betrayal.
You'll meet new friends like Rush.
I'm calling it now. I'm okay if I'm wrong, and I'll admit that I'm wrong, and he turns out to be the best. But like, if this guy ends up being the ultimate betrayer, that like somebody has to do it. Somebody's got to betray you. I want it in the story. But also, he could be the onboard medic. That's another thing that I was thinking.
He's so helpful to the sick and hungry right here. He's just such a nice guy.
Guys that
I
big
know,
don't betray people.
You would never suspect him.
That's right.
She's so thankful.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
would
so
never
much for whatever
suspect
you're
this
giving me.
guy.
You would never suspect him. And you know what? Nobody's that nice in the Borderlands.
Okay.
This guy's fishy. Hey, Borderlands, we're on to you guys. This guy's fishy.
and as always, Claptrap is along for the ride.
You don't meet Claptrap till endgame.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Last but not least,
I'm
is
sorry,
Echo
I
4.
love Echo 4.
This helpful drone follows you everywhere.
Yeah, I like Echo 4 too.
Hacking order
To
tech,
me, he's
scanning
like
the environment, and helping guide you
Ghost
to
meets
objectives.
BB-8 meets R2-D2.
But enough of all that. Let's get into the game.
Get into the game, guys.
Here we go.
The scale of it, dude. The scale of it. It's so okay. So I have something about here. It says welcome recruits. So maybe the kind of beginning of the game has to do with like you just kind of maybe going through some like trial that's hosted by the Crimson Resistance or whatever it might be. But what I think would be really cool is if this background changes depending on what act of the game you're in. So that's kind of my hope for that.
To improve
Yeah, because it does say recruits up there, which gives it Borderlands 3 type vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool if it changes. We'll see. I kind of like the... People were kind of trashing on most of the UI. It's one thing that people have kind of been rallying around online. But the UI is just bad in general. This
So
UI, I think, is very clean.
I think this is very clean. I think this is very good. I don't think all the UI is bad. I really just have an issue, and we'll talk about it when we see it, with the UI for your items. Because the UI for the skill tree looks super clean.
system, it's easier than ever to join up with your friends on the fly. And with full crossplay at launch, you can play with your friends on any platform.
I'm worried about the improved system because in the past, this is exactly what it would look like. Like this doesn't look like anything new. To join your friends now, you like right-click their name on PC and click join. That's not the issue. The issue was how long does it take to connect to them? Why is it not connecting? Are you set to online? Am I not set to online? Do we both? It's like there was always something wrong with it. So like just saying improved doesn't mean anything to me until...
I mean, I hope when they say improved, it means that they improved the like. Because, okay, like go with my thinking here, right? Just humor me. The fact that this is almost exactly the same as it looked before. Maybe when they're talking about improvements, they're talking about the connectivity issues, they're talking about the server issues, they're talking about those kind of roots in terms of how they connect people, and maybe they worked on that aspect of their software.
Yeah, that's got to be what they're talking about because
their network.
It didn't show anything.
Yeah. But I agree, this UI is super clean. And
Yeah.
it's not like they have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, like, the UI, the visual aspect of the UI, I don't think was ever an issue when it came to this kind of welcome screen.
No, definitely not.
Crossplay at launch, you can play with your friends on any platform.
Crossplay at launch is a big deal.
Today, we're venturing into Terminus Range.
Look at the scale of it
frigid,
again.
mountainous
I'm like
region.
kind of like
This is just one of the
continuously
4
blown away
zones
by
on
the
Kairos
scale
that
of
you can
this game.
seamlessly explore.
And I'm
There's
really
next to no
hoping
loading
that they
time,
make good
just
on their
endless looting
promise
and shooting
of
mayhem.
letting you kind of really go and see everything.
For our current mission, we need
Okay, I'll stop it right here, and I might split this pod into 2 parts. I wanted to stop here and address the elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to bring this up first, but it hadn't really come up until now. The compass. I wanted to, because it's been the hottest topic, and we heard Randy give his reasons. I wanted to get each of y'all's takes about compass versus minimap versus however you think the system should be. And Steve, do you want to get us started here? Compass versus minimap, because it's what everyone's been thinking and talking about.
I don't mind the compass because I play a lot of Ubisoft games, and all they offer is a compass, and it's a lot of verticality, climbing, jumping mountains, pathing, and if I need to see where I need to go long term, I just click my what they call it, small button on the controller, pull up the map. Okay, it's that far away. I need to walk the general direction. I'm good to go. I don't really see an issue with it. When I'm playing those kind of games and there's a lot of enemies in front of me, is keep my eyes on the screen. With the other Borderlands games, I'm using the mini map as a constant radar, peek, 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 as you know, to know where I'm going to be aiming next after I'm done with this current target. I think that's still going to be prevalent up there with the also as well, probably multiple red dots. But I don't see an issue with it. I kind of like it. I'm more of a minimalist anyway. I don't see it when this first trailer first came out, this deep dive came out. The compass, I really didn't see it as a big deal. I'm so used to playing with compasses anyway, so I'm okay with it. I don't see it as an issue. The clutter, when you're in a fight, I'm not gonna be looking at the compass. I don't care how cluttered it
Look
is.
how open the HUD is.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm saying like in combat, I'm not like it's gonna be so cluttered. Why are you looking up there? Look at where you're supposed to be shooting at. It sounds like you're constantly using the compass or the mini map then to pick your targets, your next target constantly. Maybe an adjustment needs to be made to just use your eyes, look at the map. I mean, look at your FOV and play the game that way. And then I think Randy kind of preferenced that as well in the packs. Just play the game, see if it'll feel pretty good when you start playing the game.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like we don't know because there's so many things that are different in terms of movement mechanics and the size of the maps. Also, I feel like a lot of the reason that people are harping on the mini map is Borderlands has developed this habit of having a lot of visual clutter on your FOV. And so you relied on the mini map because it didn't have all of those particle effects.
Right.
And I feel like if they tone down the particle effects, not having the mini map, it enables you to focus on combat a lot more. Also, it's not just with all the movement tech we have now, like you're not gonna want to be looking at the map to be like, oh, there's a guy like kind of a little bit far away from me. I'm gonna go double jump and glide over his head and turn around and shoot at these guys from this other direction. I don't even think that we're gonna be using this a lot if the Echo 4 pathing for that kind of like highlighted line you can follow is good. Because we're probably all just going to toggle that and set a waypoint on the map and toggle us to the waypoint.
Right.
And just, oh, where do we need to go? Oh, this way. See something a little bit off the beaten path, stop, go there, pick up a side mission, unlock a cool thing, keep going.
Okay.
And I think it's going to benefit the game greatly because people aren't just going to be like mini-map watching.
Right. I was bothered myself just playing as Moe's, just staring at the minimap. I've talked about it ad nauseum. I've been on Twitter. I've been adding anyone who's been talking about this, including Randy, Epic Energy, anyone, Jolts, dude, anyone who's been talking about it. I've been diehard saying Compass is better than minimap because it's immersion. It's all about immersion.
I also think like we need to play the game first. Like if we feel like it needs a mini map and the community is so desperate for one, they'll probably introduce one in a patch, you know, or have it come out with a DLC. For all we know, with them all always kind of having the habit of saying the right thing in the development of Borderlands 4, like for all we know, they're working on it now, or they'll come out and say they're working on it now. But like, let's play the game first. I don't think we're going to need it. You know, for instance, recently I've been playing a lot of Claire Obscura Expedition 33, and there's no map in that. And there's exploring is so much more fun because I don't know that I can go around a corner. I have to go down a certain area first to see if I can go do something else over there.
Right.
And you'll still have the big map that you can kind of play off of. So I just feel like it makes sense. And with everything kind of being a lot more clean and a lot more open, like when I'm looking at this image, I'm not seeing the HUD. I'm seeing like the HUD is a lot smaller, tucked away into the corners. Like the HUD clutter in Borderlands 3 was like part of the problem with what you were seeing on the screen.
Right.
And another reason you were looking at the minimap all the time. And because they kind of solved that problem, I don't think we need the minimap. And I think once we get the game and start playing it, we're going to stop talking about the minimap. I think it's just because something that Borderlands players are used
I think there's also a bit of this, like, back when Borderlands was, grabbing the attention of gamers, it was the heyday of Call of Duty. And Call of Duty, yes, in the campaigns didn't have a minimap, but in multiplayer it did. And I think what happened was a lot of Call of Duty gamers, like a lot of first-person shooter gamers, they just spammed multiplayer Call of Duty. They got used to a minimap. And then when they got their hands on a Borderlands 2 minimap, it just felt natural. It felt normal. It's like, that's where the map is. Regardless of how much information it gave you, it just felt right because of the Call of Duty, it's what they did. So I think there's a bit of friction when trying to get rid of it.
I think there's also something kind of in general that's to be said about games and how game devs have been kind of addressing the amount of like almost, let's call it hand holding that they do for players, especially since the success of like the From Software games where they give you no hand holding and you nothing. Like, I think devs are realizing that gamers can work with less and make less work, and less is fine. And I think in this exact scenario for Borderlands 4, we're not going to need anything more than this compass. And we're not going to care after we start playing it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Steve, so I just wanted to get a final take because I really do think this is an important thing because the community is so split on it. So Steve, if you were to had to choose, if you were forced to make a decision, compass, minimap, neither, both, toggle on and off, what would you say is optimal?
I would say for this game, potentially with the size and the kind of direction of the open world and kind of like this open dome area, I think compass is the right direction to go because of how well it plays in the games I feel like are played very similar to this. I don't want to keep looking up into the top right-hand corner constantly. I'm over it. I just want to keep my eyes on the screen, look around. I want to explore the game in live time, and I explore the game through a two-dimensional map.
Right.
Compass.
So and just in brief, I know you mentioned wanting to get your hands in the game first, but let's say you've had your hands in the game for 2 weeks. And the community is clamoring for minimap.
I think the best thing to do would be a toggle for either or neither.
Right.
Because again, we don't know how good Echo 4 is going to work. I would much rather follow a little line that's in front of me than look at the minimap.
No, I completely
then
agree
I'm
with you. I'm
looking
stunned
at
with
the
how much people
screen.
talk about wanting mini maps. You know, it really does.
I mean,
It shocks me.
it shocks me too because it doesn't move the needle for me. There are so many other aspects of this game that I was concerned about that have nothing to do with a minimap. So people arguing about a minimap, like I'm like, let's play the again. I keep going back to it. Let's play the game first.
Right.
If everybody feels like we need a minimap, then I'm sure they'll try to introduce a minimap in at some point.
Yeah, I think I'm happy with how. I mean, it does help that everyone agreed, but I'm happy we had that discussion because I really thought the reasonable take, like the normal take here, was get rid of the mini map, and I was just kind of stunned to hear, mainly coming at least from Kaler 6, but like, I think he does have, like, his opinions are shared by a lot of people within the community. Anyways, thank you all very much for listening to here part 1 of the Gearbox. This is the April-May content drop with the PAX East panel and the gameplay deep dive. We're going to be going into part 2 next time. I want to thank you all very much for listening. Subscribe to hear more videos like this one, and we will see you all next time. Bye.